Alright, now what I want to do is share a workflow from Blender to the UDK. And let me explain to students that are taking this in my course. If you were in the texture rendering and lighting course and not interested in this, just, you could either sit back, relax, and chill out and watch this video, or you can skip it all together and go right to the assignment. So, other than that, this is for my kind of fundamentals of gaming or world building class, if you're in my world building class. Not to date this or add a label to it, because I hate doing that. Anyway, here's the premise. You can make something in Maya, but you can't technically paint it that well. You can bring the UVs into Photoshop and do a halfway decent job, but you couldn't do like custom style stuff where you're denting up the corners at all. But Blender allows both. So now what we need is the ability to get it out of Blender and into the UDK. And that is very easy. I go back to object mode, go back to textured, and you can see that the texture shows up, but this time it's not lit or shadowed in any manner. So in order to get it shadowed, I'm going to need two different maps. The first map I'm going to save out. I'm going to save this as an image and save it onto my hard drive under texture workflow. I'll call this something like relaxed UV example. How about relaxed cube? And that needs to be a TGA. Targa. Relative path. There we go. Okay, now that I have that, I need another map. So if I go to the camera, go into bake, I need an ambient occlusion map. I'll lower this margin down to 0 and I'll hit bake. And there we go. Now that gives me that. Then I go in here and say image, save image as, texture workflow, relax cube underscore OCC. Looks like that saved it as a ping. I don't care. I'll just change it in Photoshop. Just know that you have to name it here Targa and name it up here Targa. Now, since this is my world building class or my fundamentals to gaming class, I'm allowed to use Photoshop. But this can be done in GIMP. You've seen that already. So here's relax. Open those two up. So I got this and I got this. Well, this right here, what I do is right click it, duplicate layer, and go right over to the other one. This one, I go to multiply. Now, I'm going to have a little bit of an issue with a seam in this area. I'm just letting you know that's going to happen because Blender has an awful time with OCC and giving me good baked results as far as something that doesn't have a technical seam in their area. So to fix that, look around for my Wacom drawing tablet. And what I do is go like this. Take the clone stamp tool, make a new layer, use all layers, and around any seams that you might have a hard time with, like this one, I'm going to do this. So I'm over painting the seam. Just like that. Will that cure it altogether? No, there's probably another seam, but we're going to go with it. So File, Save As, Targa, Relax Cube, Color Map, 24-bit. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to make a normal map. That's using the NVIDIA normal map filter. So here on the background, I'll duplicate it. Filter, NVIDIA Tools, NVIDIA normal map generator, and I'll use a scale of 4. Use multiple layers and hit OK. There's my normal map. And I'm going to save as TGA. Label this NM. So in that directory, let me recap. I got a color map and a normal map. That's what's really important. And the color map has a burned in look already. So it looks like this, not this. What else is important is I need to go back to Blender. Let's say this piece was the piece I need inside the UDK. Well, I can be in object mode, which is tab, and I can go File, Export, FBX. FBX imports into the UDK. So here's my texture workflow. And I'll also call this Relax Cube. Export it. Then go right to the UDK. Now here's a piece I did earlier. You can see this is just a standard wall piece. And here's my static mesh for it. The one thing is scale. So this piece that I'm going to bring in is going to be small, so I'll have to take and upscale it. If you want it the same size, what you need to do in Blender is make it really big. How big? Well, I'm not sure about scale in Blender yet. I'm just kind of started with the Blender UDK thing. So I would say, bigger than what is normal. Also, what I would suggest to you is go to the box, and in object mode, just make sure it's on location of 0. That's just in the center of the scene. Just a couple housekeeping tips. So let me do that one more time here. Relax Cube. So in here, I'm just hit import. Here's Relax Cube FBX. It asks you, do you want a static mesh or do you want a skeletal mesh? So guess what's coming in the future? That's right. Long time from now, but it's coming. Skeletal mesh would be nice, and in fact we have animated guys inside from Blender to the UDK. Static mesh is what I need though for right now, and I hit OK. And the world building class should know what to do now, but for other people I would say right click new material, and you can go in here and name this new material Relaxed Cube Matte. So if you're unfamiliar with the UDK, this is kind of not making sense to you, but that's okay. This is how I get students interested in things. I throw some wacky thing at them in the middle of a video. I'm going to import the textures. Relax Cube. Here's normal map and color map. I'll open those up. The color map I leave alone. the normal map, I do something else. I add a normal map feature here. Okay, here's my material. Double click that. Type in texture sample or text. Just have to get close to texture sample. That way I have this. And how it works is I touch one of these, I go back into here, I click and drag. Okay, and I need that normal map, so I click it, click and drag. With these two maps, I can pretty much make any texture. So this one's going to go to diffuse, and this one's going to go to normal. Hit the check mark when done. Close that out. Double click the static mesh. Here's my material slot for this. So I click on the material, click here. And what I like to do is just close it out real quick and open it back up. That will get rid of the blue. It's a cheap, dirty trick. And there we go. I have now a very nicely colored object for the UDK. And you can see it has some kind of internal shading. So if I hit L and then page around this thing, it makes really nice sense as far as that goes. Alright, where's that corner I worked on? You can see what happened. The one corner that I worked on that was dull is now even duller. Okay, so you might want to, when you do wear and tear on corners, you have to really make it gritty in order for it to show up. Also, since I self-shaded this, it probably ranked it down quite a bit. And on one of these, I would have to go in, like you can barely see some of those lines. There it is right there. So when I do a self-shadow like that, look what happens. It covers up those. A way of rectifying that matter is going in and say image, replace image, and replace it with my new formulated color map. This one's a self-shadowed map, and what that means now is if I scratch up a corner, it's going to be my final product. But you've seen that already, so I don't have to cover that again. Just remember, what I usually do is go like this, clouds, and if I turn my strength down, you can see how bright that is, right? And you can see how it's painting over here. But if you did add first, and then did a color value of like a darker color gray, and just be very careful about this. Okay, let's say that's what I want right there. I can go image, save image as, and I can save it right back to my color map. And then I can go back to the UDK, right click on my texture and hit re-import texture. That should automatically update it here also. and there it is. There's the wear and tear on the corner. Whoops. And you can see just a small thing like that really does add to the piece. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this one video, the pipeline to the UDK. That's all I'm going to go from here. The class should technically know how to get all the way through. And if you're interested in the UDK, those lessons are coming up in the future. I do have some on my website or YouTube channel, youtube.com/cannedmushrooms. But other than that, let's go on to the next video.